morning.
Well, it's evening over here. Good evening, I would say.
Good morning, good morning. Let's wait a little longer and see who else makes their way in. I know, Svir, you're going to text, I think, you said. There's Jessica, yay. Hello, Jessica.
Hello?
Hello, hello. Nice to see you.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Let's see, it's here's Jean. Hello, Jean. Welcome. Nice to see you. Who did we lose? Did we lose Neha? Night. Okay. And Swati, has anyone heard from Swati from last week, who was here in Second Life and on Harvard's Island? I haven't. And did we just lose Neha? We had Neha and then we lost Neha, I think. She'll be back perhaps. Just wait a little bit longer until we get connected here with fielding logistics. So let's see, I think, Jim, shall I call you Jim or Sphere, as in Second Life? Yeah, I think it's good to turn off one's smartphone too. Thank you, Jim. I think if one has a smartphone with Google Hangouts on it, it can be confusing for whether your desktop or laptop or your smartphone pick up the invitation to the Google Hangouts. So it's worth putting the smartphone in airplane mode, for example. So we're all over the world here. Jim, I think, is in Massachusetts. Jessica's in Indonesia. Jean's in Chicago. And Aparna is in India. Quite extraordinary. And Neha, also, who was just in this hangout, is also was in India. Last week we had Swati, also in India, but in Varanasi. Aparna, you're in Delhi, right? And then we also had Christian in Brazil, of all places. Great. Let's. So Jim, welcome back, Neha. So glad you're here. Do you have voice? Can you speak, Neha? And let's do a voice check. Aparna, do you have voice?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. And Jean, do you have voice? Jean isn't there right now. Jessica?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Jim has text. Jim is going to only do text. Jim is in the Google Plus Hangouts. He goes by Jim, but in Second Life, his avatar name is Sphere. So that's a fun distinction and an interesting one. These two different milieus, two different identities, two different individuals, perhaps. Neha, do you have voice? Can you say something, Neha? I think Neha may still be getting oriented. These information technologies take a little time and patience, but for both weeks it worked quite well. It looks like she will, in Utah, whose avatar name is Good Ideas, made it to Second Life, but not to this Google Hangout today. So I'm exploring how this course is unfolding, and am seeing a little bit of sort of two separate spheres, two separate. We lost Neha. So as I've mentioned before in emails, the Second Lifetime. Great, you're back, Neha. It will explore perhaps mostly the book Networked, as well as develop conversation mostly in group text, a little bit of voice, and then in this second hour in the Google Plus group video Hangouts, we'll explore more about the network society. And perhaps I'll do a tiny bit more talking in this, because I have some things I'd like to share with you. But the beauty of these information technologies, both this Google Hangout and Second Life, is that there are two channels, at least, for communication. There's voice, there's group voice, and there's group text. There's also group gesture. So I guess there's three, with avatars being able to do stylized gestures, such as dancing or drinking a cup of coffee or something. Avatars in Second Life can do that. So I encourage you to engage in this conversation, particularly through texting as well as asking questions in this Hangout part of things. Also, hello, Neha. Oh, and then we lost your picture. Okay, you're here and then you're not here. So we're at least getting some communication with Neha in India, which is great. Yes, it may be a binary, Jim. It's true. So let's, I would like you to invent your own learning anew in the context of these information technologies about the subject of networked and information technology and the network society in a variety of ways, and be creative with these digital technologies in the conversation aspect. Neha, can you hear us? Just type in if you can hear us or hear me. So for this second hour, I'd like to begin again with what we sort of ended with in the group hangout last week, which is in many ways the beginning of what I have to say about the information technology in this second hour. Neha, can you hear us? Can you hear us, Neha? And am I pronouncing your name correctly? Okay, I'm not sure about Neha, whether she can hear us or not. But let's proceed. So what I'd like to share with you today is about the information technology revolution, its history and geography. And I'd love it if you would contribute in text about some of your knowledge of this and also related thinking. And the more we can turn it, you can't hear us, Neha. Okay. Keep trying to get sound, Neha. We have, good. Who do we have here? Welcome. This is Archana. Hello, Archana. Can you hear us, Archana? So you can hear us. Can you just speak something? Can't hear you yet. Can't hear you, Archana. Please keep trying and use text as well. And Neha, please use text as well and keep trying voice. Great. So what happened? Well, the questions I'd like to ask in this second hour throughout the remaining few weeks through December 12th is, what is information technology? What came about? So how did the information age come about? It's a fascinating story, beginning certainly in the 1950s, but beyond that, before that as well, with the Industrial Revolutions. I want to ask, who did it? So who created the information technology revolution? With, to some degree, a focus on individuals. And I want to look a little bit at the history of the information revolution. So this will significantly occlude the history of the internet. We're looking at the information technology revolution and not specifically at the internet. And I also want to look at geography questions. Where did the information technology revolution occur? And also, what has been the process of diffusion into the economy and society? So its main features in many ways. It's a fascinating history. It gives rise to Google Hangouts. It gives rise to Second Life, and it gives rise to this course. So in many ways, this course is about why we're here and how we're here, and its beginnings. So in many ways, this is about a historical development of the information technology to the broader society and economy in terms of trends. So what is technology? So the definition I'm going to use in this course is that it's the use of scientific knowledge to specify ways of doing things in a reproducible manner. And that the changes occur gradually, but that changes occur clustered together, and the clustered idea is key, to form a system that reinforce each other. So, for example, in the late 18th century, the late 1700s, in the first industrial revolution, the technologies focused around how to generate and distribute energy and power, particularly with the steam engine and trains and train travel. And then many other discourses occur concurrently in the information technology revolutions, including those in chemicals and those in mechanical spheres. And they all cluster around one main theme. So this is my argument for how the information age begins. How it emerges out of the industrial revolutions of the 18th centuries, the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s. So the first one I want to focus on or mention is that of the Industrial Revolution in Britain in the late 18th century. But I want to emphasize there are two major revolutions. And the other one occurred in the late 19th century, particularly clustered around electricity, and particularly in the United States and in Germany. So electricity and also chemicals and also mechanical advances. So in the first industrial revolution, sort of around energy, it was a series of things that included train travel, but also the production of cotton, so textiles that were integrated and clustered around and distributed around these energy-producing technologies of the steam engine and trains. In the second industrial revolution, the electricity revolution, if you want to call it that, was linked to the chemical revolution, and all of these synergies became critical to actually understanding the way we do things. So not only do these industrial revolutions, good questions, Jim. Good question, Jim. Why gradually? One moment, please. So these technological changes both cluster and create these advances in society and the economy, but they also influence how we all understand and do things. So electricity with chemical revolution, with mechanical revolution, with radio, with early broadcasting in the late 1800s, the late 19th century, came together to inform how we know things. The pace at which these occurred, Jim, it seems to be speeding up with the information age, and we'll look at questions of pace in later on, particularly in the information age. But in many ways, it has to do, the pace, the gradual pace of these first two industrial revolutions have to do with a conversation once again. How scientists, how inventors, how explorers see what others are doing, and then begin to engage each other. Okay, if not paste, please ask further. So the information technological revolution started in the beginning of the 1900s, the beginning of the 20th century, late 1800s, with first and most significant the invention of the telephone by Bell in 1876, and then the invention of the radio by Marconi in 1898, and then significantly the invention of the vacuum tube by De Forest in 1906. And the vacuum tube was the precursor to transistors. The on-off switch in semiconductors that transmit a 1-0 signal that is this binary process, which is in every computer. Hello, Bilal. Nice to see you. Welcome. So 1906 was the vacuum tube, which led to transistors, and that was with De Forest. So, in terms of historical development, which you're asking, Jim, we're many ways looking at questions of history, and these synergies that have occurred in these industrial revolutions haven't been catastrophic. It hasn't been like a hurricane or a tornado that led to the development of a new technology, for example. And one good source for that, this historical development is, in terms of the information technology revolution, is Alfred Chandler in his book Nation of Information, published in 2000. So the information technology revolution has long historical roots and precedents as a system clustering together technologies, which started significantly in the 1970s. And the information technology revolution system has two features, and these features are often prevalent in all technological revolutions, and the effects on the economy and society are pervasive, and it's that pervasiveness that is so very significant in the information technology revolution, and in all these revolutions. And this paradigm infuses into the entire realm of society and the economy. So going back to the first industrial revolution, around the steam engine and the clustering of technologies informed by the steam engine allowed people in Britain to do things in a specific way that you couldn't do before throughout the entire social structure. And the second thing that occurred is that with industrial revolutions, the second things that occur are that fundamental change is at the core of generating and changing information. So the way we generate and create information, generating information, involves fundamental change, is what I'm going to suggest. So the information technology revolution is about information, and it derives from previous industrial revolutions. So in this new paradigm, in the information technology revolution, there are three main technologies, or they're based on three main technologies. One is microelectronics, two is computers, and three is telecommunications. And there's a fourth one, which we'll only touch on in this information technology revolution, but isn't central in many ways yet, is the genetic engineering revolution, which includes the decoding, the recoding, and the reprogramming of the information codes of living matter. So with information technologies, microelectronics is at the foundation of the information revolution. And this, again, can be traced back to the vacuum tube, which wasn't small. Remember, vacuum tubes in 1906, and even in ENIAC, one of the very first computers at the University of Pennsylvania in the 1940s, were huge. And they allowed for on-off kinds of switches, but they weren't micro. And so one of the significant things about the information technology revolution, interesting, Gene, is that it becomes very, very small. That we put all these circuits onto semiconductors and chips, all these transistors into chips and semiconductors. So what happens when we put these transistors into very small semiconductors is a series of electronic impulses are able to process in a binary mode of amplification and interruption. And chips these days, or semiconductors, have millions of transistors. And they're all zipping around our own microprocessors on our own machines right in front of us and making all of this possible at this point. And what's unique about the microelectronics and this information technology revolution vis-a-vis these circuits is the integration of them. So the integration allows us to squeeze more and more circuits into tinier spaces. So in 1947, with the transistor invented at Bell Labs in New Jersey by Shockley, Bourdin, and Bartain, I think, you had the very beginning of this information technology revolution. And it was a government arrangement where microelectronics were in the public domain. And what was significant of this, so government helped pay for this, and they were widely available. It wasn't that microelectronics weren't sort of these early transistors and processes weren't controlled exclusively by Bell Labs. And the transistors were also significantly much smaller than vacuum tubes. So this was revolutionary. Transistors are an amazing idea, Jim. Agreed. So to be reliable and fast, however, transistors needed to be conductive, but not too conductive. And this was a real problem back in the late 40s. What materials to use to build the transistors on in terms of conductivity, the right amount of conductivity. And it wasn't so easy at the time to find these materials until Gordon Ted at Texas Instruments in Dallas decided to try silicon in Dallas, Texas. So you had the material, late 40s, early 50s. And the process of beginning to put these circuits on a chip, these transistors on a chip that was made out of silicon, was a little bit like drawing on a chip. You would create a mental representation of what the chip can process as in terms of electronic current. So the entire basis of the development of these chips shifted to the ability to process electronic current. And the next step was, once people started to produce transistors on silicon material, in 1957, this led to the integrated circuit, which is a chip you cut into. So you cut into this chip that's both programmable and simultaneously and independently inverted. And it was Jack Kilby, again at Texas Instruments in Dallas, Texas, in the late 50s, and Bob Noyce in Silicon Valley in the San Francisco Bay Area at Intel Corporation, who took these technologies in particular. And this, in many ways, is the founding story of the microelectronics industry, which continues to grow and grow, and Intel is continuing to be a dominant semiconductor producer. And its significance is comparable to the emergence of the steam engine in the 1700s and all the clustering technologies around that, and to the invention of electricity in the late 1800s and all the clustering of technologies, extraordinary, chemicals, mechanical, radio, vacuum tubes that occurred around electricity. Good question, Jim. Yeah, AMD, I think it's Advanced Micro Devices or something, was a company that started out as a competitor to Intel, and quite a while ago nowadays. And I don't know what share of the market they control at this point, but I think they still are a viable competitor. Let's explore that question during the week on in information tech in the Google group list. So you had the integrated circuit, and the idea was to implant it everywhere. So the military were involved in this. They were very interested in this, the US military, especially after the invention of the chip. And they contributed significantly in the context of the Cold War also, financially. But the fascinating thing about all of this is that many of these founding stories didn't have any practical application. So although the military was very interested, at the time they were just fascinating inventions. Microelectronics, computers, and telecommunications. So there was a vast amount of money from the military, so public monies in the United States, in a sense, went into these with no practical weaponry or other related sort of inventions, developments. Interesting from the perspective of nonviolence, even. So between 1959 and 1962, the first round of chips emerged, and the price of semiconductors fell by 85% in 3 years. And compare this with the cost of cotton in Britain in the early 19th century, the early 1800s, when over 70 years there was an 85% drop in the price of cotton. So chips fell 85% in cost in 3 years. Cotton fell 85% in 70 years. How come? Both are fascinating products. Both are key products at the core of these industrial revolutions, at the core of these technological revolutions. So the production of integrated circuits from 1959 to 69 increased by a factor of 20. And 50% of these went to the military. So in 1971, another major benchmark occurred with the invention of the microprocessor. So up to this point, you had semiconductors, chips with integrated circuits, transistors on them which became integrated circuits, but you didn't have a microprocessor. And what a microprocessor is, in some ways, is a computer in a chip. And it was invented by Ted Hoff, who was at the Sharp Corporation. And now with microprocessors, you began to have computers installed everywhere. And where they first went, these microprocessors, were into calculators. These devices that I used as a school kid. I'm post-slide rule generation, which allowed you to do basic calculations. And it also made possible a more reliable and cheaper calculator. So in the remaining 10 minutes or so before we close, I think I'd like to open this up for conversation, since we have this beautiful technology, of making conversation possible. I see the learning process and education in many ways significantly at universities, at great universities, happening in two modalities. One is often the lecture format, and the other is talking around a table, the seminar format. And it happens in other ways too. We also train our own minds. We read, we engage with various kinds of problem solving, which involves having learned information to do the problem solving. But lecture and seminars are significant. And Jim, you asked fantastic questions that are very stimulating in new ways. And what emerges in such contexts as conversations such as here is the possibility to ask questions in new ways that give rise to new ideas. And while we have been exploring a history of the information age, let's open this, and also feel free to ask questions in text chat or share your knowledge and information. And we'll basically do this, I think, through December 12th. The first hour in Second Life and the second hour in a Google Hangout. And this may exclude some people, but because Rika, for example, in India couldn't get into Second Life this morning. But I think we'll save the transcripts from Second Life and post them to the Google Hangout. And in the group video chat, we'll also save the recording. So the advantage of being there in person is the ability to engage, the possibility to share your ideas, to ask questions, to develop the conversation in new ways. And that's a great opportunity. In 6 minutes or so, we'll stop, but at the end of this, I can hang around a little bit, and we can explore any logistical questions you might have. But let's, in the remaining 5 minutes or so, I'll respond to some of these questions. Please ask some questions yourself. We'll have to develop a kind of etiquette for sharing ideas in voice. But perhaps I can start by asking one of you, Jessica, do you have questions or thoughts so far about what we've shared in voice?
No, not yet. I'm sort of just taking it all in. This is a very, very different perspective from what I'm used to from my anthropological perspective. So I think I'll just sit back on this one.
Great, thank you. This is very much a, it's many ways coming from a sociological, still social science, but sociological perspective. Could you all hear Jessica? I'm typing in. Could you all hear Jessica? So this is a sound check for Neha and Arkna and anyone else who might have been having sound problems. Great, Neha. Arkna, Arkna is no longer with us. Okay. Remember, this is also being broadcast, so people are able to watch it, but not participate in real time, but not participate in this group text chat or in voice. Google introduced a new tool, a question and answer tool that can involve up to 1 million people at the same time. So that's also an opportunity for people to become directly involved in the conversation through the broadcast, not through the Hangout. Aparna, questions, thoughts, ideas?
Well, I share the notion as Jessica. I am also absorbing it in. Do you have written pointers of the things that you covered today? Otherwise, I'll have to at least watch the entire video again to get the hang of it.
Good question. I shared an old PB Wiki Society and Information Technology course with some transcripts in the email lists a week or so ago, and it has much of this. So I'll send that out again and refer you to that as well. So yes, in a way. It's rough. It's in the form of Second Life transcript. But I'll also share Second Life's transcript today, and I may copy that transcript from the PB Wiki Aparna into our Google groups as well that cover some of the similar information as well. So,
any more references on this?
Say again?
Any more references on this?
It'll have some specific references. Other Neha, do you have or Jean or Jim or Bilal questions or thoughts? Bilal, questions?
Ask any questions today. I was a bit late. I was a bit late, but I'm already regretting it, and I will look into see the video again, and let's see if I have a question afterwards. But for now, it's thoughts. Yeah, I just have one thought that it's sad that I'm late.
Glad you're here, and very glad you're here. Remember, logistics in both these information technologies are really a challenge at first, and they will become as reliable otherwise as other technologies.
I may have a question. Can I? Is it too late?
No, this is the opportunity.
You mentioned somewhere at the beginning that much of this history is going to exclude the history of the internet. Can you explain explicitly why that is?
Good question. I want to focus on the technologies in terms of these industrial revolutions, in terms of these information technology revolutions in this part in the Google Hangout that includes microelectronics, computers, and the telecommunications. So I see these as significant to what gave rise to the internet. And we will actually, and that's primarily also in the first couple of talks that I'm going to give. So in the first few weeks, we will touch on the internet at a later point in this semester.
Okay.
These are in many ways founding and fascinating narratives of how the information age begins. And I find them also very generative. I'm very indebted to UC Berkeley professor and now USC professor, who I think is much in Spain, Manuel Castells, for this perspective on the information age. We'll also, so this is one of his books, The Rise of the Network Society, and it's a revised edition. And this is another of his books, The Power of Identity. And he very much, he was involved in student movement in Paris in 68, 70, coming from Spain, and then came from the States. So his questions of identity, and there's a third book in this trilogy, his questions of identity are very much from the perspective of, in many ways, resistance movements, in some ways. But he's been compared to both Max Weber and Karl Marx in the breadth. And we'll try to, of his interpretation, we'll try to integrate networked, this book by Rainey and Wellman, together with Castell's work over the course of the semester. So we're at closing time now, and I'll share much of this information in different ways, and look forward to seeing you next Thursday same time, same place. First hour, Second Life. Please invite yourselves to test it if getting into Second Life has been a challenge. And also test the Google Hangout. Invite other people in the course to do that as well. Perhaps test it with them so that these technologies become easier. So yes, we can have us. So the class is now over for today, but we can do some logistical things right now, Gene, and other folks if you want. So very nice to see all of you, and I'm glad we're at 8 or 9 people again this week, which is fantastic, and glad that this course is happening. So see you next Thursday, and thank you for participating, and share your questions in the Google group. What's up, Gene? Do you have voice? If anyone would like to test Second Life, Sphere is in Second Life right now. Still can't hear you, Jim. Gene, sorry. Bilal, do you know how he can test his mic? Gene, there's an icon at the top of the Google Hangout screen that is of a mic, and if it's red, it means you're muted, and if it's gray, it could mean you can.
It's gray now. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you. Great.
Now, I need a big favor from you. I'm really scared to start Second Life. I'm signed up into it, and at some point, I need someone to hold my hand to get into it. Like, how do I go to the Second Life location? And I'm signed up for that. What do I press, and what do I do when I'm there? And why are we using it?
We're using it as a forum. It's stimulating to the imagination. It has at least 2 or 3 channels for communication, group voice and group text chat. Do you already have an avatar?
Yeah, Gene Loeb, Genealoeb, and I have an avatar.
And have you been into Second Life already?
I don't know.
Can you get into Second Life?
Of course.
So what I would like...
I have everything downloaded. I don't know if it's on this computer or my other computer, but it's all downloaded. And then I just didn't know what the next step is. I have a second computer as well. I just happened to start my Chromebook, but I do have another backup.
So what I'd like to suggest is when you're in Second Life and one of us is in Second Life and we know it beforehand and we could do this now, Jim is in Second Life now, can you get into Second Life and then can he invite to teleport to where he is? He will find you in Friends, he will type in invite Gene Loeb, Geneneloeb.
I'm going to do it now.
Are you there, Jim? Are you in Second Life?
I have to, I don't want to take too much time.
Wait, Gene is not in Second Life yet. But he's getting in with his other computer.
I don't want to take your time. I don't mean to take your time. I don't want to waste your time.
Let us take your time, Gene, and get into Second Life right now.
Yeah, I've got to get into my other computer.
Let us know when you get into Second Life. And then I'll tell Jim, or Jim can hear you too. I think Jim can hear you. Jim is only texting in Google Hangout, but he can hear in Google Hangout. So once you're into Second Life, let us know, and he will hopefully invite you to where he is on Harvard's Island. And you should see a little thing pop up.
I have no idea this is how to get into Second Life. I'm in my Gmail. I'm in my Gmail.
So you pop open the Second Life icon.
I'm in Gmail right now. And I have no idea how to get it. I'm in Gmail. I get rid of that. Okay. I have no idea where the Second Life icon is. I have no way. I don't even know on my screen where to look for Second Life.
One way, Gene, is I think to in an email that I sent this morning, you should see a website address for Harvard's Berkman Island. And if you click on that website address in the email I sent this morning, it may well show you where your Second Life program is.
Okay. I know I have. I think this is my avatar. Okay. There. Okay, so I gotta sign in. Okay, here it is. I got my Second Life viewer. So I'm turning on my Second Life viewer.
Great. Click on your Second Life viewer and then click Login.
Okay, Second Life's already running. There we go. We're initializing.
Great.
I'm having enough trouble with regular life that I have to go start a Second Life.
Yeah, these digital technologies are not always intuitive.
Okay, I'm initializing. Okay, now continue. Um,
Let us know when you're in.
I got um, username. Okay. I agree to terms of service. Okay, we're logging in. Okay.
Great.
This is very scary for me.
It's a whole new world.
Well, I got enough trouble with this world. Requesting to, I have to,
Takes about a minute or two.
I have to tell you while I'm doing this, your lectures I'm fitting in because I'm old enough that I'm going through all this, and that when you were talking about this part, you didn't get onto using the new computers. We had the mainframes. When I went to work for this university in Texas, they had I was doing education and early childhood education, and they also had a back room in the department. And in the back room, they had a collection of maybe 10, 12 computers, and one, I forgot the old names for these. And they were the old first computers just sitting around so that if you felt like monkeying around with it, you could. We didn't have a computer age yet. These relics were just tossed in there so you could use them if you wanted.
Those are huge old machines these days. It's fat.
And then the internet we used was the green, the olive green background. I think the white letters, and was only universities used it, and the professors. So I used that. I would go to try. They didn't even have an Apple at that time. And so then I would go use these monkeying around. Then you mentioned which company made the chips in
Intel.
Texas Instruments.
Texas Instruments also made chips.
And so when I went to Texas, so while I was there, they came out with a new computer. The GS, or I forgot what it cost, by Texas Instruments. It's a beautiful computer, 64, what do you call it, a megabyte chip? 64 chip.
Very small chips at the time.
No, for them, the chip itself was very fast, but they didn't utilize its power. It did only the smallest stuff, yet they had invented this big chip that couldn't do anything.
Interesting. Great to learn that history. Are you in Second Life?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to close this side. I'm in Second Life. Gene Loeb standing there with a backpack facing the. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway.
Yeah, it looks like. Are you on Harvard's Island?
I don't know.
So, Jim,
That's
here.
University.
Gene is in Second Life.
This is a Stanford. I picked the Stanford University
Campus. Okay. Great. So, Jim, Gene is on Stanford's virtual island. And are you... Okay, I have limited memory here, but I'm going to try to go into Second Life 2. I might crash.
Yeah, I will leave it. There I am.
Can you go to the menu at the top, Gene, and click on World?
Got it.
Right. I'm also there. And I can see Jim.
I got world.
And can you click on, is it world map? So you go to the world menu option and then you click on world map, I think.
I'm on world map.
And then is there a search field in there?
Search.
Can you search on one word, Berkman, B-E-R-K-M-A-N, nothing else?
Where's the search part? I don't know where the word search is.
Keep looking around. Bilal or Jim, can you go to world and then world map and see if there's a search field?
Yep. It's not exactly the word search. It's the word find. You type in the name and then you find. Maybe you can see the word find.
Where's the word find?
If you look at the menu, you would see at the last it pops up by default. There are 3 red circles and there are 3 menus. The third red circle, just adjacent to that circle, is the bar where you can type.
Because my friends online, my landmarks in Stanford University. Okay, find.
Yeah, there you go. Write the name of the place where you want to go, and maybe then.
What do I want to do? I got find. I got find. Now what do I do?
Put the name of the island. Sorry, you can take it from here.
Type in B-E-R-K-M-A-N.
I got it. There's a red dot, a circle. It says Berkman.
And if then you see the word teleport, click on the word teleport.
Okay.
And you should go from Stanford's Island to Harvard's Island.
I'm somewhere. Yeah, here I'm walking.
Our day. Yeah, we got you. In the yellow shirt.
Hello, Max. I see Max and Sphere in Second Life. Looking around for Gene.
Oh, that's
He
you.
might well
Okay.
land.
What I do is it's kind of a bluish, cloudy back. I'm walking. There's no nothing there, and I'm standing in the middle.
So I'm walking over to where I think you may have landed, and then I'll invite you to come back to where we've been gathering.
Is there any? There's people up
There you are. Okay, I see you. Great. Here we all are. Fantastic. You're in the water. Can you come up here, Gene?
How?
Get out of the water, Gene.
Welcome, Gene. The water's very nice, but it's probably not virtually warm.
Here. Stop.
Fantastic.
Yeah, cool.
Well, welcome. Okay, I just clicked add a friend.
How
And
do I
if you
stop? Stop.
if you click accept, then we'll be able to find each other easier in the future.
Where's accept?
Should be obvious.
Can't find it. Oh, good.
It should be in the top right of your screen. It should automatically pop up.
Now it says there, give each person a check for $100. And should I say yes? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, that's all right. World University and School definitely needs monies, but that's another question.
I'd like to join World University.
Fantastic. I was a little low on memory, so I've left Second Life.
It's okay. You look very good in real life. You don't have to be in Second Life.
Thank you. You do too.
I want to stop now. I don't want to go too far. I have a doctor's appointment in a little bit that I have to prepare for.
Great. I have to go too, so I'm going to say farewell here from the Hangout as well.
And for Jim, is there any way I could make an appointment with you later on today or tomorrow?
Jim only text chats in the Google Hangout, so you have to look at the text, Gene, to hear what his response is. Jim is not speaking in the Google Hangout, and he goes by the name Sphere in Second Life, and he only texts there too, I think. I don't think he speaks.
No, I just had to find a way that if somebody in the class wants to do more of something, see, this is nice. Now I have to study this because I'm not naturally, I don't get this naturally, so I need to.
It's fun. You have to visit. There's lots to explore in Second Life and in Google Hangouts. You'll see on people's Google Plus profile pages Hangouts happening all the time.
Yes.
So thank you for participating, Gene and Bilal and Jim. And I'm going to say farewell from Google Hangout.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for arranging it. Thank you very much. You have a great day.
You
See
too.
you.
Cheers.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.